Welcome to The Debate. Today we are looking at the brutal mathematics and logistics of modern theme parks. I mean, you picture a quiet beach vacation, and the environment is entirely passive, right?
Oh, absolutely. The only variable you really have to calculate there is the tide.
Exactly. But stepping into Walt Disney World in 2026 it's stepping into a highly active thermodynamic system. You are managing heat, intense physical friction, massive crowd density, and heavily engineered algorithmic queuing structures.
The passive vacation is entirely dead. If you walk through those gates without a logistical operation in place, you are going to get swallowed whole by the system.
Which brings us to the core dispute today. When you are navigating that massive, complex crowd, what is the absolute superior logistical tool to reclaim your vacation? I will be taking the stance of relentless progress, efficiency, and individual freedom, arguing that the premium, highly customized Disney VIP tour is the ultimate vehicle.
And I'll be arguing from the perspective of grounded tradition, community impact, and ethical caution. Throwing endless capital at the problem is just, well, it's a sledgehammer approach. I am arguing for the strategic use of deluxe extended evening hours, specifically accessed through renting Disney Vacation Club points.
You frame the VIP tour as this absurd, out-of-reach luxury. But we really need to look at what financial efficiency actually means in the modern park environment. Progress requires investment.
Investment, sure, but not necessarily extortion.
Well, let's break down the reality of a standard 2026 trip. The standard park-going experience is an exercise in relentless financial fatigue. You are purchasing Lightning Lane multi-passes, which fluctuate daily based on artificial scarcity.
Right, and demand.
Yes. Then, you're purchasing a la carte single passes for the major headliners, like your Trons, your Guardians of the Galaxy. Or, if you want to bypass the phone entirely, you are buying the astronomically expensive Premier Pass, and you're doing this for every person, every single day over a 5-day trip.
The compounding costs of the modern line-skipping infrastructure are a known variable. I'll give you that. It is a daily gamble.
So let's look at the actual math of a VIP tour. Yes, there is a strict 7-hour minimum. At the baseline seasonal rate of $450 an hour, you are looking at an initial outlay of $3,150.
Which is a massive chunk of change.
It is. But here is the mechanism that alters the entire calculation. You can split that single cost among a group of up to 10 guests. When you take 2 families or a large multi-generational group and divide that hourly rate, you are executing a highly efficient consolidation of capital.
That math only works if you operate in a vacuum, though. You are presenting a massive false equivalency here.
How so? It entirely replaces the daily passes.
Because you're framing the VIP tour as an all-inclusive replacement and the verified pricing structures explicitly state otherwise. Let's look at the peak holiday rate, because, well, that's when most families are actually forced to travel.
Sure, the holiday rate is higher.
It's $900 an hour. For a 10-hour day, that is $9,000 strictly for the guide's time. You still have to buy the peak price park tickets for those 10 people to even walk through the gate. You still have to feed them. The barrier to entry isn't just high, it's staggering.
It's a premium product. Absolutely. It is unapologetically designed for efficiency. It entirely replaces the need to engage with the Lightning Lane algorithm.
But why engage with the algorithm at all when you can bypass the entire premise ethically? Contrast your $9,000 upcharge with the capital allocation of the DVC rental strategy. Everyone has to sleep somewhere on a multi-day vacation, right?
Lodging is a fixed cost, yes.
Right. It's a fixed, necessary cost. If you utilize the Disney Vacation Club rental market, where you are taking unused timeshare points from actual owners through third-party brokers, you completely flip the economics of the trip. You can secure an $800 a night deluxe villa for around $350 a night.
Which is a clever hotel booking strategy. It saves you money on a bed. It does not provide you with a dedicated logistical guide to navigate a crowded theme park.
It provides something far more valuable. It bundles your lodging and your VIP-level park access into one community-friendly transaction. By staying at a qualifying deluxe resort, you automatically unlock extended evening hours.
Which is just 2 hours.
2 exclusive hours after official park closing. You are utilizing the physical space you already had to book to bypass the upcharges entirely. You preserve your capital, you support a timeshare owner rather than padding a corporate upcharge, and you achieve the exact same high-tier ride access.
You are totally prioritizing financial minimization over physical autonomy. You are completely ignoring the physical reality of what it actually means to tour a theme park late at night.
The physical reality is the absolute best part of the strategy. Let's examine the incredible yield of a 2-hour session at Epcot from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Go ahead, map it out.
First, guests can casually access the 6 p.m. virtual queue for Guardians of the Galaxy from their hotel room. Then, once the park officially closes to daytime guests, you can seamlessly walk on to Spaceship Earth, Mission Space, Test Track, Frozen Ever After, and Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, all in 2 hours?
Yes! You are doing all of this in a cool, serene environment. The blinding Florida sun is gone. The dense humidity has broken. The pathways are entirely clear of strollers and massive crowds. It is exactly how the Imagineers traditionally intended the space to be absorbed.
That itinerary sounds fantastic on paper. Functionally, you are asking a family to treat their vacation like an Olympic sprint. You are entirely ignoring the geography of the park.
It's just walking.
Epcot is gigantic.
Let's map the physical friction of what you just described. To get from Test Track at the front of the park all the way back to Frozen Ever After in the Norway Pavilion, and then physically hustle to Remy's Ratatouille Adventure in the France Pavilion before the 11 p.m. cutoff, that is a 1.5-mile hustle.
It's an active evening, certainly.
Around a massive lagoon. In the dark. You are forcing a multi-generational family, grandparents, toddlers, to speed walk across World Showcase after they have already been awake for 14 hours.
But the environment is entirely clear. Walking 1.5 miles without bumping shoulders with thousands of people is a completely different physical experience than navigating that same space at 2 p.m.
The VIP tour acts as the ultimate bypass valve for this exact physical friction. The secret weapon of the VIP tour isn't just skipping the line. It is the private backstage transportation.
You mean taking people out of the immersive park environment to drive them around in vans?
Putting an exhausted family into a climate-controlled vehicle. The guy drives you off-property, entirely behind the scenes, and drops you off directly at the back entrances of the attractions. There is no sprinting from Norway to France.
But you lose the atmosphere.
You step out of a van, walk through a backstage door, and you are on the ride. Furthermore, it unlocks the entire property simultaneously. If the teenagers want to ride Tower of Terror at Hollywood Studios and the grandparents want to do Peter Pan's flight at Magic Kingdom, the VIP guide facilitates that park hop in 12 minutes.
It's essentially treating a theme park like a private jet terminal.
Exactly. It's the difference between flying a private jet and buying out the first-class cabin on a red-eye flight. Your extended evening hours restrict you to whichever single park Disney has deemed open that night. You are entirely reliant on their public transit schedules.
The monorails, the buses.
Right. The VIP tour guarantees total physical freedom from the constraints of the property's massive footprint.
The private jet analogy is revealing because it highlights the psychological friction of your strategy. You speak of freedom, but we need to address the intensity of having a literal running meter attached to your family's joy.
I wouldn't call it a running meter. You're buying a block of time.
When you are paying up to $900 an hour, there is an immense, crushing pressure to maximize every single minute. The peace of mind you claim to be buying is directly inversely proportional to the cost per minute.
It's an upfront cost for guaranteed access.
But it absolutely destroys the traditional vacation pace. Think about the mathematics of human behavior. At that peak rate, a child's 10-minute bathroom break costs $150. If someone just wants to sit on a bench, eat a churro, and look at the architecture, you are actively bleeding capital.
If you are booking a VIP tour, you aren't doing it to sit on a bench. You're doing it to execute.
But that's my point. A vacation shouldn't be an execution of tasks. Extended evening hours remove the ticking clock entirely. Yes, you have to walk the 1.5 miles around Epcot.
A fast-paced 1.5 miles.
but the merchandise carts are closed. The chaotic sensory overload of the daytime masses is gone. It's just your family experiencing the space together at your own pace without the psychological pressure of a $6,000 to $9,000 sledgehammer hanging over your head.
Let's talk about psychological pressure, because I vehemently disagree about where the cognitive load actually originates on a modern Disney trip. You claim the VIP tour creates pressure.
It absolutely does.
I argue that it is the only mechanism that entirely absorbs the cognitive load. Let's talk about the designated family planner.
The person running the itinerary on their smartphone?
Yes, the person whose vacation is usually ruined because they are managing everyone else's. Under your extended evening hour strategy, that person is still carrying the operational burden. Let's unpack the 6 p.m. virtual queue drop for Guardians of the Galaxy you mentioned earlier.
It's a simple app process.
That isn't a casual event. That planner has to set an alarm. They have to pull out their phone at exactly 5:59 p.m. They have to ensure their entire party is perfectly linked in the app. And then they have to actively compete with thousands of other Deluxe Resort guests, all mashing the same button at the exact same millisecond to secure a boarding group.
The 6 p.m. drop is significantly more forgiving than the 7 a.m. morning drop, though. You can do it from your dinner table at the resort. The stress lasts about 30 seconds.
But they are still on their phone. They are still managing the algorithm. During the day, that planner is staring at a screen, trying to decipher return times, stressing about ride breakdowns, and physically navigating the family around parade crowds.
Which is part of the modern reality, sure.
The VIP guide runs the algorithm on the fly. If an attraction goes down, the guide instantly pivots and reroutes the family seamlessly. They navigate you through the chaos. They provide rich historical context about the park. The VIP tour buys that individual planner the mental freedom to actually look up from their screen.
Empathy for the family planner is crucial. I agree. The burnout is real. But your solution to their stress is vastly disproportionate to the actual problem.
How is it disproportionate if it solves the problem completely?
Because you don't need to hire a highly trained guide to run a complex routing formula for you if the crowd density simply doesn't exist in the first place. That is the profound beauty of the extended evening hours. The friction you're describing comes from the 80,000 other people who want to ride the same attraction at the same time.
And you still have to navigate around them during the day.
Not if you wait them out. Once the daytime crowds naturally retreat at 9 p.m., the algorithmic complexity entirely evaporates. You don't need an app. You don't need a guide to pivot and reroute you. You don't need to run a formula to walk onto a ride with a 5-minute wait.
You're relying entirely on Disney's schedule, though.
You just walk up to the entrance and get on.
But you are entirely at the mercy of Disney's sporadic corporate scheduling. Extended evening hours are highly restrictive. You are generally limited to Magic Kingdom on Mondays and Epcot on Wednesdays.
That's usually the pattern, yes.
Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom are rarely included unless it is the absolute peak holiday season. What if your family's travel dates don't align with that very specific rigid schedule? The VIP tour provides guaranteed on-demand access to any park on any day. You dictate the schedule, you dictate the pacing, not the corporation.
It requires adaptation. You plan your park days around the published schedule before you arrive. But that adaptation is part of a grounded, intentional approach to travel.
It's bending your entire vacation around a single 2-hour window.
But you aren't being ushered through cinder block back alleys and service corridors, driving past dumpsters just to shave 12 minutes off a transit time to the Haunted Mansion. You are walking right down Main Street, USA, looking up at the castle, experiencing the park exactly as the designers built it to be seen. You democratize the empty park experience for your family.
By sacrificing daytime flexibility.
By being willing to adapt your internal clock and do some strategic research up front.
Well, it fundamentally comes down to how you value your primary resources. Time, physical energy, and mental bandwidth are the ultimate currencies of any vacation. The physical toll of the Florida heat, the exhaustion of navigating a massive concrete footprint, and the psychological fatigue of constantly monitoring an app.
They are real, quantifiable detriments. I don't disagree.
When you calculate the true compounding costs of piecemeal line-skipping products over a multi-day trip for a large group, Condensing that expenditure into one highly curated, expertly guided day is a rational, uncompromised investment. It completely removes the thermodynamic heat and operational friction of the park.
And my position remains that true peace of mind shouldn't require a premium paywall that rivals the cost of a used car. By adapting the strategic approach of DVC rentals and deluxe extended evening hours, you preserve your capital.
While still getting the access.
Exactly. You honor the traditional space by staying within the immersive environment rather than treating it like a logistics puzzle to be hacked from the outside. You achieve that exact same walk-on access to the most high-demand attractions in the world, simply by operating when the massive system has cooled down.
Both of these methods require a deep understanding of the underlying mechanics. The modern theme park is a profoundly complex environment that absolutely requires active circumvention of crowd density.
That much is certain.
The VIP tour uses financial capital to break straight through the crowds, guaranteeing immediate progress and ultimate individual freedom.
While the extended evening hour strategy uses the scalpel of strategic scheduling and lodging optimization to slip seamlessly around the crowds, proving you can conquer the algorithm with patience rather than an endless budget.
Which brings us to the ultimate reality of the 2026 vacation. The passive, uncalculated trip is a relic of the past. The question you have to ask yourself isn't whether you will face the friction of the park, but how you will choose to bypass it.
The physics of the experience have to be altered one way or another.
Exactly. Are you willing to pay in premium dollars to command the space, or are you willing to pay in sleep to outlast it?
We leave it to you to decide which currency makes the most sense for your family.